Today, we are going to finish our story about Eleanor Roosevelt. We will begin with the page where we left off yesterday. Franklin was elected governor of New York in 1928, in 1930, and president of the United States in 1932. He was re-elected president in 1936, 1940, and 1944. When Franklin became president, Eleanor became First Lady. The 1930s was the time of the Great Depression. Banks and factories had closed. Millions of people had lost their jobs. Hungry people stood in long lines for free bread and soup. It was a difficult time to be the president or First Lady. Eleanor didn't wait to do things. Her motto was, "Tomorrow is now." She had a radio program and wrote a daily newspaper column. She traveled to cities, towns, farms, and into coal mines. She brought hope to millions of people. Eleanor used the money she earned from her speeches and writings to help the poor. Eleanor spoke out for women's rights, the rights of the Indians, the homeless, young people, and minorities. She told people, "Do what you feel in your heart to be right." Eleanor always did. Eleanor belonged to the Daughters of the American Revolution. In 1939, they would not allow a great singer, Marian Anderson, to perform in their hall because she was black. Eleanor quit the group and arranged for Marian Anderson to sing in front of the Lincoln Memorial instead. On December 7, 1941, the United States Armed Forces were attacked at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The United States entered the Second World War. During the war, Eleanor traveled all over the world to visit American soldiers. When she came home, she brought messages from the soldiers to their families. On April 12, 1945, President Franklin Roosevelt died. The whole country mourned with Eleanor. Eleanor moved out of the White House. She was no longer the First Lady, but she did not retire from public life. Life was meant to be lived, she said. The war ended a few months later, and Eleanor worked to ensure peace. She was the United States representative at the new United Nations, where leaders from all over the world could meet and discuss their differences. Eleanor said, "If we are to live together, we have to talk." While Eleanor was at the United Nations, she was the chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights. Eleanor was always busy. "You must do the things you think you cannot do," she said. Eleanor Roosevelt died on November 7, 1962. She was the most important, most loved woman of her time. President Harry S. Truman called her First Lady of the World. And this is a timeline of the important dates in her life, starting in 1884 when she was born and ending in 1962 when she died. And that is the end of our story.